Good morning, everyone. My name is Tyson Mickie, and I am the Environmental Health and Safety Manager here at MMC Construction. Today, we're going to dig deep, literally, into trenching and excavation safety. Our goal is to protect lives one shovel at a time. So let's get started. All right. Our goals today are very straightforward, but even more critical. Today, we're going to talk about how to mitigate trench collapses by using protective systems. Without these, you're basically just taking an unnecessary gamble on your life. Use them. There's really no excuses. Second, we're going to educate everyone on proper trench safety practices. If you don't know the rules, then you can't follow them. After that, we're going to dive into the importance of daily inspections, because even the safest trench can become deadly whenever it's compromised. Lastly, we're going to cover how to manage water, equipment, and access into these trenches. Each one of these is a vital piece of the puzzle. Remember, safety is a team effort. If one of us fails, we all fail. So, picture this. An employee is laying utility pipes in a trench without any protective devices. The trench collapses, and within seconds, they're buried up to their chest, or even worse than that. Why did this happen? Well, first, there are probably no trench shields. Pretty first and foremost. Second, the soil probably wasn't inspected. There are different types of soil, and some are a lot more dangerous than the others. And lastly, and honestly most importantly, the crew assumed that it won't happen to us. It happens to other people, but it won't happen to me. Invulnerability will get you killed. Here's the reality. Honestly, it can happen to anyone, anywhere, and it happens all the time. This incident shows us why protective systems are non-negotiable. The cost of skipping safety is just too high. Well, I'm sure you guys know by now that we work in a fairly dangerous field, and at this point in the game, we have to accept the harsh reality about trenches. Trench collapses are almost always fatal. Soil is incredibly heavy if you haven't figured that out yet. 1 cubic yard of soil can weigh up to 3,000 pounds. That's the equivalent of a compact car falling right on top of you. So imagine a trench collapses and a bunch of Priuses fall on you. Not good. Next is unstable soil, specifically type C. It's the least stable and crumbles under pressure. Without reinforcement, you're at constant risk of collapse. Not good. Heavy equipment near trench edges, the vibrations from those big diesel engines running, and honestly the weight of the machines works to destabilize the walls. Imagine trying to balance a stack of blocks while someone shakes the table. Probably not a good result. Hazardous atmospheres are also a huge issue. Trenches accumulate toxic gases, and they also deplete oxygen. So at the bottom, it may just be full of carbon dioxide. This is why atmospheric testing is critical. Standing water also weakens the soil integrity and turns everything into a trap. The trenches are a very, very bad place to be in if everything is not up to snuff. Ignoring any of these issues is a recipe for guaranteed disaster. OSHA, OSHA, OSHA. You love them or you hate them, but you have to respect what they're trying to do. The OSHA standards help us mitigate risk. First, shoring, shielding, and sloping. These systems stabilize trench walls and protect workers. Without them, you're at the mercy of gravity. Gravity doesn't care if you have kids at home. Safe access for trenches over 4 feet deep. Ladders and ramps ensure workers can quickly escape in case of an emergency. Daily inspections, very, very important. They have to be performed by a competent person who must check the trench for cracks, water seepage, and other hazards. This step is crucial because conditions change rapidly, especially after rain or equipment use. OSHA standards are there for a reason. They're the difference between a safe site and a tragic one. Caught in between hazards. Caught in between hazards occur when a worker is crushed or trapped between objects. In trenching, this often happens when the walls collapse, which buries workers, or heavy equipment pins workers against the walls, or maybe even against other machinery. Caught in between is also part of OSHA's Focus 4, so it's one of the 4 most dangerous things that we experience in our industry. To prevent this, we're going to use trench boxes, right? These are used to keep the walls stable, stop everything from collapsing in. We're going to keep heavy equipment away from the trench edges, 2 feet or more, as you can see here. And then we're also going to conduct regular inspections. We're doing this to catch hazards before they escalate. Caught in between incidents are fast and unforgiving. Prevention is our only defense. Now, why do trenches collapse? Let's take a look at this real-life example and identify some of the issues here. First, unstable soil. This one doesn't look terrible, but it's no concrete or no nothing, right? So if the soil isn't properly classified and reinforced, it's definitely a disaster waiting to happen. Next, no protective systems. Skipping trench shields and shoring is like driving without a seatbelt. You might get lucky, but it only takes once. The risk isn't worth it. Water accumulation. So water compromises the integrity of even the strongest soil. Pumps or proper drainage can save lives. If you look here, the worker in unprotected vertical wall trench exposed to being completely engulfed. So if he's down there and something falls, the rest of it's going to fall and he just gets turned into a mummy. Not good. See the ladder at the end of the trench. The ladder can slip, he can fall off, not good. Here again you see no protective systems, and also it's next to a residential structure. So just all around there's a lot of risk in this site. So we have the causes of trench collapse. Here's some of the ones that we just talked about in the previous slide, but we really want to focus in on the types of soil. So type A is going to be your most stable soil. Think clay, silty clay, sandy clay, all your cohesives, right? Type B is going to have your silty loam, sandy loam, and you start introducing things like gravel, and angular gravel. So less stable than type A. Type C is going to be the least stable of them all. Think sand, loamy sand, submerged rock, gravel, granular soil, right? So these are the things that you can step in and it'll displace, and it can just honestly, again, be a disaster waiting to happen if you have not accounted for this. So you need to know your type of soil. So we've identified all of the dangers that make a trench dangerous, right? But now we need to know how to stay safe, right? It begins with a pre-dig inspection, a thorough one at that. We're going to start off with identifying our soil type. We're going to make sure if we're working with A, B, C soil, maybe even solid rock, and then we're going to plan accordingly. Then we're going to identify underground utilities. We're looking for gas lines, power lines, water mains, etc. Hitting one of those could make a bad day worse. We're going to plan protective systems. Every trench requires a specific protective system. That's to be tailored to its depth, soil type, and surrounding environment. So that's where we're going to decide on the different shoring, shielding, or sloping that we may need. It can change based on soil classification, trench depth, etc. After that, we're going to assess the environment. We're going to check external factors like nearby heavy equipment, weather, and vibrations. All these can work together to compromise trench stability. More kind of on the weather. If it's going to pour down raining tomorrow, it's probably not a good idea to dig the trench today. After that, we're going to put together a rescue plan. So first, we're going to identify exit points and position ladders or ramps every 25 feet if your trench is over 4 feet deep. We're also going to train workers on how to react during an emergency. These are things like calling for help, providing first aid, etc. Having a plan already can ensure a swift response in the event of emergency. That way we can save lives. Lastly, we're going to inspect the site thoroughly. We're looking for everything at this point, right? The things that we haven't thought about. So maybe doing a walkthrough of the area, looking for hazards and dangers here and there. By diligently implementing these steps, like protective systems, controlling surroundings, ensuring safe access, and emergency planning, you create a safer environment where trench-related risks are minimized and workers are prepared to handle hazards effectively. So, you got an earful. Let's wrap it up. First, we're going to use protective systems to stabilize trenches. We're going to inspect these trenches daily. Conditions can change in an instant. Then we're going to train every worker on OSHA safety protocols because knowledge saves lives. Safety isn't just a box to check, it's a commitment. Safety isn't optional, it's essential. If you value your life, you should value safety as well. Now, it's time to act. Together we can prevent trench collapses and save lives. If you see something unsafe, say something. Report it. Participate in training sessions. Let's build a culture where safety comes first. Thank you for your attention, and let's dig smart and stay safe.